role?
I've never laid claim that I'm the smartest in the land or most intelligent in the land.
Now, as a potential governor of River State, Nigeria, what would you significantly do differently to better the life of the citizens of River State, Nigeria?
So for me, language is institution. The kind of institution that operates makes a difference between a society that is successful and one that is not successful.
What access and how this will be made available, that they can come to Nigeria and harness their thought, their values, their initiative with what's on ground.
Africa is the next big thing that will happen to the world. Same way Nigeria is the greatest potential of Africa waiting to be explored. I'm an incredible optimist if you like.
Hello everyone, we are currently at the home of Dr. Dakuku Peterside. He has recently been selected as a flag bearer of the All Progressive Congress for the 2015 general election in River State, Nigeria. We're here to know about him and find out his intent for the people of River State, Nigeria. Stay with us, don't go nowhere. Here he comes. Hello Doctor.
Princess.
It's good to see you.
Pleased to have you in my home.
Thank you so much for having me.
You may be seated.
Thank you very much. You have a pretty decent and comfortable home. Is there a particular place in your home where daily inspirations are done or got it?
Thank you for appreciating our little humble home.
Oh, my pleasure.
You're always welcome to our home.
Well, thank you very much.
You asked this question, is there any particular spot where we derive our inspiration from in this home? Not very easy to say a particular spot. Because I'm alone in this house most of the time, I say my prayers in the bedroom, but I have a study room where I sit down, go through the internet in the morning, find out what's happening around me, read my books, and compare notes, equip myself for the day's work, and do a quick review of what happened the previous day. So between my bedroom and the study room, I don't know which one to say this is where I draw my inspiration from.
It's actually,
for me, prayer is a serious business.
Awesome.
It's a very serious business because you do your Bible study, you do your literature review of the literature I use, then you pray, and you equip for the day, you move to the study, you look at some books, and you proceed from there.
So I will identify that you get your daily inspiration from your studies. For me, do you know where I get mine from?
No.
My bathroom. Once I'm right in the bathroom, all the fresh inspirations come forth right there in the bathroom every morning. It's amazing
I can tell you
how
something.
these things happen.
I can tell you something. Whenever I do my prayers, whenever I get set to do my prayers, my spiritual exercise, I rather call them spiritual exercise.
Right.
Because it involves a mix of prayers, Bible study, read a bit of literature. Every time I do my prayers, one idea just crosses my mind or the other. At the end of the day, I get inspired, I get fired up, and I just take it from there.
You get geared to go. That's amazing. Now, you've been very, very successful in all of your endeavors. I mean, you've been the chairman of the House Committee for a long time. Why take up this new challenging role?
First, let me start by saying I thank the Almighty God for every opportunity He has given me. I've never laid claim that I'm the smartest in the land or I'm the most intelligent in the land, but I've always said the grace of God brought me this far.
Right.
why take up this new challenge of governing Rivers State? I and a few of my friends who are members of my team sat back and said, we have had a great leader in Right Honorable Gov Rotimi Amaechi, who has accomplished so much. He's done extremely very well in the area of security, in the area of human capacity development, in the area of infrastructure, in the area of reforming government, building new institutions. And we said to ourselves, at the end of his tenure, should we allow Rivers State go back to those days of darkness, those days where violence characterized the land? Or should we get involved and move Rivers State to a greater level? And we reviewed the situation and said, whatever decision government makes affects us, so we must get involved to ensure that we get it right. I've always been somebody who's been involved in leadership. From primary school days, secondary school, university. When I left university, I got involved in government, set up a not-for-profit called Development and Leadership Institute where I groom young people. And I said, all these things one has been teaching all this while. Why not get involved and do it and show that indeed with a determined and focused leadership, society can be transformed.
Absolutely.
And government will be used as a force for good. And so we put ourselves forward. And thank God that the party process selected us as the standard bearer of the party. And so we are involved because we believe that our team can lead Rivers State to its great future, where everybody is secured, where everybody has an opportunity to pursue life's ambition and prosper. And so that's clearly the driving force. We want to lead Rivers State to its great future, where everybody has an opportunity.
It was recently announced by Governor Rotimi Amaechi that equity, natural justice, and fair judgment are the salient criteria used in your selection as the now flag bearer of the APC 2015 general election in Rivers State, Nigeria. Did you imagine you'd be chosen?
If I want to tell you the truth, I imagined I'll be chosen. Now, I'm happy you're just telling me that that's part of the salient criteria that was used by the leadership of the All Progressive Congress in selecting their candidate, which happens to be my humble self. When I start with members of my team and we're reviewing the situation in Rivers State, we said to ourselves, if equity is going to be a criteria, people from the Rivers West senatorial district of the state had had its turn in Dr. Peterside. People from Rivers East has had their own turn too in the Right Honorable Gov Rotimi Amaechi. It is my own senatorial district that has not produced a governor before. And if you take it the other way is the fact that if you look at the geopolitical basis, we have the riverine part of the state and the upland part of the state.
Right.
In the past 16 years, the upland part of the state has been in charge as governors in Dr. Rotimi Amaechi. And so if you must shift power, then you cannot help but consider the riverine axis of the state. I come from that axis of the state.
Okay.
But beyond that is the fact that we also needed somebody who has been part of the shared vision of the Right Honorable Gov Rotimi Amaechi. Somebody who has not only been part of the shared vision, somebody who has been part of the implementation of that vision, somebody who understands the challenges we may have encountered in course of trying to accomplish that vision, and somebody who clearly has an idea of how to help all of us achieve that vision so that Rivers State will be great. And so perhaps, yes, those may be some of the silent criteria, but I think that's a whole pot of issues that threw us up. And we're grateful to God Almighty, we're grateful to the leaders of our party, and I believe that we're committed. We're very focused on what the objective is, to take Rivers State to a greater height, working together with all our people. And we're very sure that with the support of our people, we will accomplish that and indeed take Rivers State to its next level.
Speaking of which, you recently mentioned that you will be running on a manifesto already laid by Governor Rotimi Amaechi that seeks to eradicate poverty in River State, Nigeria. How do you intend to have this implemented?
I say I will run on the foundation laid by Governor Gov Rotimi Amaechi. And I often say this, nobody can take away even his worst critics that he's done extremely very well in virtually all sectors of Rivers' economy. In the area of security, he put in place a new security architecture, invested in that sector,
that's very evident,
together security in the area of security infrastructure, training of personnel and all of that, and the results are all over the place for everybody to see. In the area of infrastructure, if you recall what the situation was before he came to power, he's dualized all the major arterial roads in Port Harcourt. He's built a lot of roads, and he has initiated the monorail project, a long-term project, but he's done the phase 1, and it's still on. And in the area of water transportation, he acquired some high-end vessels that's supposed to be plying our sea routes, but we also have security challenges, especially piracy in most of our sea routes. He made efforts to get the concession of Port Harcourt International Airport because he understands that it's critical if we want to grow the economy. Aside from that, in the area of human capacity development, he laid a most noble foundation in the area of primary education. He built close to 500 model primary schools that can compete with the best in the world. These primary schools have ICT facilities, they have halls, they have all sorts of facilities, smart boards and all of that. That's something you can't find in many other parts of sub-Saharan Africa. We say we are going to continue in that trend. He's built a number of model secondary schools. One is Ambassador Nekurubo Model Secondary School in Eleme, that's world class. You've got hostel facilities for 1,000 children, 2 per room. You've got good scientific laboratories and instructional rooms, or what you call classrooms. And the learning outcome is showing. The children did exceptionally very well in the last West African school certificate examination. Rivers State, the children who participated from Ambassador Nekurubo Model Secondary School almost made 90%. That's not very common. That's by far above, above national average, that is 30%. So we say we're going to build on the foundation. He's laid critical foundation in primary education. We will now be concerned about content. We'll be concerned about the outcome, the learning outcome of the primary school system. And in the secondary school system, we'll infuse a mixture of vocational, technical and entrepreneurial education so that our children will be groomed for fit for purpose education. Then in terms of tertiary, he's building a new University of Science and Technology. He established the University of Education. We intend to consolidate on all those foundations. So when we talk about foundation, he did the same in primary healthcare. He built world-class primary healthcare facilities. He made a lot of investment and yielding. He's building secondary health facilities. In the area of power, we have a challenge. Has invested in power generation, but there's been also policy changes. You know that power generation now is in the hands of private individuals. Power distribution is in the hands of private individuals. Power transmission, the transmission lines are in the hands of the federal government. Yet we are not where we ought to be. He's laid critical foundation, and for us is to take it to the next level and ensure that Rivers people have 24 hours power. We understand the spiral effect of having 24 hours power on industrialization, on quality of life, and on the growth of the economy.
Now, as a potential governor of River State, Nigeria, what would you significantly do differently to better the life of the citizens of River State, Nigeria?
Several things will be done differently, but I'd like to point out a few.
Okay.
I have said here that our focus will be on security and growing the economy. Clearly, that's going to be our focus.
Good.
Throughout the 4 years, we're going to be governor. And in the area of security, one major reform, we're going to do reform in 3 aspects.
Okay.
Policy reform, institutional reform, and investment.
Okay.
In the area of policy reform, we are going to set up what we call River State Security Trust Fund. Now, River State Security Trust Fund will house all our investments in the area of security.
Okay.
Now, it will be run by an independent board of seasoned and respectable men and women in society. We're going to bring all stakeholders on board.
Okay.
Now, if Shell, again, this is a hypothetical case, if Shell supports security, please bring it to River State Security Trust Fund. If AGIP would have to support security, bring it to the River State Security Trust Fund. If River State government wants to support security, bring it to the trust fund.
Right.
Now, we're going to develop a new security architecture and make substantial investment in security infrastructure. We'll support the military personnel. We'll work out a partnership with them. All of that will be funded from the River State Security Trust Fund. That's in the area of security. Now, the other one is our policy of zero tolerance for crime.
Okay.
Zero tolerance for crime.
Okay.
Now, we're going to drive it through a regulatory framework and institutional framework. The issue of zero crime, our zero crime program for the state. But most importantly, government must be accountable and transparent for the people to have confidence in what government is doing. And so every quarter, we're going to render accounts of our stewardship to our people. That's in one area of security. What are we going to do differently in the area of infrastructure? I've talked about power here. That we're going to bring a basket of incentives that will encourage people to invest in our power sector program. So it will not be government money driving power. Yeah. It will be private funds driving power. But we're going to offer a lot of incentives. That, again, is something we're going to do differently. One of the incentives we're going to do is what we call a River State Power Fund. And so if you are going to invest in power here, we have certain incentives to give you. First, we're going to offer you free land. If you show clearly that you're ready and you have the capacity to invest in our power program, we offer you free land and give you CFO. We will buy up shares between 5 and 10% in your firm. Now, if you deliver 24 hours power, not just generation now, then you have incentive from the power fund. So aside from the fact that you collect your revenue, there is a set of incentives waiting for you. Anytime you deliver 24 hours uninterrupted power for 1 year, you already have a package waiting for you. We believe that this and more incentives will drive people. That's in the area of power. In the area of education, we will shift our focus now from education infrastructure. We're going to now look at content infusion. Okay. That's going to be a major shift. Now, we're going to be concerned about learning outcomes, the quality of instruction we give to our children, and their ability to apply themselves to the problem of society. Okay. So we're shifting now from focus on infrastructure to learning outcomes. And we're going to do that through content infusion, training and retraining of our instructors or teachers. Now, in the area of healthcare, so much has been achieved in the area of primary healthcare. But again, the problem we're going to deal with will be access. We're looking at a community health insurance scheme where you just pay a token and you get to enjoy the whole gamut of health services we can offer. So you just don't come to a medical facility, consultation is free. Once it comes to drugs, you pay for this, you pay for that. No. By just subscribing to the community health insurance scheme, you will enjoy the whole value chain of healthcare that is available in our state. And the idea is that the informal sector we brought into our scheme, insurance scheme, for paying little or nothing. And so everybody will be entitled to free and quality medical care. Now, in the area of infrastructure, we're going to evolve more, it's going to be more private sector driven without compromising either standard or value of services the people get. That's one area we're going to be different from what the current regime. Okay. And so, you know, if you notice, globally, so many things are going on. Funds are drying up. The price of crude oil is dropping. Dollar? Of course, it's affecting the entire economy of Nigeria because we're still a monoproduct economy. Yeah. And so we must be very ingenious in the management of our funds. Absolutely. We're going to create what we call a River State Development Funding Strategy, where we bring a mix of private and public sector funds. There are things that we need to fund from public fund. There are things that we need to fund from the private sector fund. There are things we need to fund from a mixture of private and public fund. So in many ways, we're going to do things differently. Times are changing, and so if you're not dynamic, you will die. And so I am very optimistic that we're taking River State to its next great level. University is certainly going to be great.
Now,
No iota of doubt.
Speaking of the private sector, oftentimes people with great initiative find it very difficult or do not have access to the authorities in place to harness their thoughts and ideas to fruition. What would you do to enable this person to have no access to the authorities come forth and present their initiatives
now, first,
for the change that we all desire?
Yeah, one major thing I'm going to do is to strengthen institutions.
Okay.
Everybody must not have access to me.
Right.
As governor.
Right.
Now, we currently have a public-private initiative bureau in university government.
Okay.
We're going to strengthen it.
Okay.
So if you have any great idea, you can just approach the PPP bureau headed by the Director General.
Okay.
In addition to that, we're going to look at other institutions.
And the people in place will have the right values set up to accept incoming ideas and not form stringent opposition.
No way, no way. We're going to also set up other institutions to monitor what they're doing.
Absolutely.
To ensure that our public service is effective and delivers service. The public service need to know that it's in competition with the private sector.
Now, the reason I asked six doctors, I had mentioned to, on my page that I'm coming here today and I'm having this done with you. And I had several letters from people in diaspora writing to me, wanting to know what access and how this will be made available, that they can come to Nigeria and harness their thought, their values, their initiative with what's on ground and not be turned, here and there, back and forth.
I can tell you another. There are several institutions.
Okay.
Now, there's already a law before the State House of Assembly.
Okay.
And we're going to fast track that process.
Okay.
Now, the River State Investment Promotion Commission. Now, it's going to be a one-stop shop for every information you need to invest in River State.
Okay.
And so it's not about you running from table to table.
Right.
All agencies you need to talk to will be represented in a one-stop shop in the River State Investment Promotion Commission. So apart from the fact that they're going to supply information about all the investment opportunities in River State, they're going to actually help you facilitate the process to ensure that within 24 hours you get things done. And so for me, the language is institution. The kind of institutions that operate makes a difference between a society that is successful and one that is not successful. So it will not be about individuals. Access to governor or not, it's immaterial.
Absolutely. It seems to me like you've had all of this in the works for so long. How long has it been?
Mind you, I've been part of the executive arm of government and I've been part of the legislative arm of government.
Right.
So clearly I understand how government works. And I was part of the Right Honorable Rotimi Amaechi administration. That's government. No one can deny the fact that they bubbled with a lot of ideas and they had a very courageous leader. So I was part of that team.
This is phenomenal. Now, sometimes politics can be very mean-spirited, but I've seen you, I've heard about it, and I've seen you, of course, extensively, consult with the people without fears. And I keep wondering, do you have any fears in you when you go and all out for your consultations in
I do.
Rural areas, the riverine areas, the bushes?
I do.
The people, massive?
I do.
Do you have fears?
I do.
And what motivates you to go even further with these fears?
Now, first, what are my fears? The expectations of the people are quite high. They think that they've been in the woods for some time and they need a government that can transform their areas within 24 hours. There's no such government. That's my greatest fear. There's no such government.
I like that you're saying this out here so everyone understands that.
And so we're going to appeal to our people. Listen, are we going to transform your area? Are we going to transform the state? The answer is outright yes. Do we need time to do that? Yes. And so all we require is patience, understanding, and cooperation of the people.
And it must be brought to existence, as stated.
So if that's the only fear I have, do they have faith that we can transform the state? The answer is absolutely yes. Do they believe we have the ideas to transform River State? They do. And that's why I know they will vote for us. We will win the elections. We will sit down and begin to work for them. They're the ones hiring us. No other person is hiring us. We know that the reversible I go to hires to help them solve their most complex problems, to help them bring their dreams to life, turn what people call fantasy to reality. And we're equipped to do that, and we're going to do that.
Now, do you sit down with your kids and explain all of this to your kids and family as the day goes by?
I do. My daughter, who is in school in Lagos, she's in secondary school.
Okay.
In Lagos, she's in SS1, what they call SS1, whatever that means. Senior secondary school,
okay.
One in the school in Lagos, called me this morning. I said, Dad, how are you? I said, I'm fine, Dell. She said to me, how's the campaign going? I said, very fine. She said, I can imagine that Rivers people are very receptive because they know that you can be trusted. You're an honest man, you're a man of integrity. And I said, yes, my daughter. She said, Daddy, promise me that you will do all you say you would do, because I don't want my family name messed up. I said, daughter.
This is your daughter speaking?
My daughter speaking.
Okay.
And I said, daughter, you know your father. You know that I will not say anything I don't mean, and that whatever thing I have said, I will do. Say, Daddy, thumbs up. I trust you. Go ahead, win, and help your people. Daddy, I love you. She dropped the phone. And so we engage. They understand the issues. Two of my daughters are in secondary school. My son is young, in primary school. But I thought my two daughters, my two grown-up daughters, they understand the issues. And since they are growing up years, they understand what reputation means. And they know that nothing should make you sacrifice your reputation. Nothing. It will outlive you. And so every day, we hold each other responsible for the reputation of our family. And we all agree that nobody should mess it up. It's a great heritage handed over by our forebears, and we can't afford to mess it up. So my daughters understand.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Honorable Dakuku Peterside, thank you so much for this day. I do appreciate you having us here. Do you have any word for Nigerians?
Let me start by thanking you for this time we have spent here, and to say to Nigerians, as a country we have great potential, we have great people, we're a land of limitless possibilities. The only thing is that we need to apply ourselves for the good of this country. As citizens, we know that leadership is critical if we want to leapfrog our development. Let us, with all sense of responsibility, partake in the electoral process and elect leaders who truly mean well for us and who can change our situation. Where we are now is not where we deserve to be. For God's sake, even if it's at the risk of reputation, we need change in our country. Not just change in the faces who occupy government positions. Change in orientation, change in our value system, change in our focus and our vision. We need change. Nobody's happy with the state of things in Nigeria and in Rivers State. Nobody. Africa's got great potentials. Africa is the next big thing that will happen to the world. Same way Nigeria is the greatest potential of Africa waiting to be explored. So why are we not exploring it? We all have a role to play. Let's not hope that anybody will do it for us. We all have a role to play. And I can assure you that God will bless our effort. No out of doubt. I'm an incurable optimist if you like. God will bless our effort. And we're going to be great again.
This is amazing. Really amazing. Now, just one last question. Is there anything that you and your wife do differently aside from praying for fun? Is there anything you do or you get engaged in for fun, for, spending time for leisure aside from praying? Because I know you're a prayer warrior. That everybody knows. We know that God is the author and finisher of everything that you lay your hands on. Well, what else do you do with your family aside from that?
Well, there are several things we do together.
Okay.
And just because I don't have her consent,
okay.
It's because we read a lot of books together and discuss those books.
Okay.
We're not television people. We're not people who get glued to.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, incidentally.
Okay.
We'll go to the gym together. She's a gym person. And we'll go to the gym together. And we do our swimming program together.
Okay.
But above all, very often we sit down to study the Bible together and discuss family issues. But one area that we're clearly different is that she's not so much of an extrovert. I'm the outgoing type.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that.
A bit of an introvert. She likes to stay indoors.
But she's a strong woman.
She is.
That's what I say. She's a very strong woman. She stands her ground. She's a strong woman. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much.
We usually do a hug at the end of our show. So we do the governor to be a hug. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Typical African man.
Thank you for having us here. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. You're welcome always.